Hey guys, welcome back to video 2. This video is going to be really primarily about keyword research. I don't want to dive in too deep into keyword research. I think most of you have been inside the Google AdWords keyword planner. And there's lots of other keyword tools out there. Feel free to pick one, whatever you like, to figure out keyword competitiveness and keyword volume, search volume, all that stuff to figure out if it's a good keyword to even go after. But what I'm going to tell you though is that from a local standpoint, really everything is sort of non-competitive, with some exceptions. I mean, there's certain large metropolitan areas that can be very difficult to get ranked for. It can take a lot more effort. And we'll talk about that in the course. So what I want the course to focus on going forward are going to be two case studies of a lesser competition keyword and then a higher competition keyword. The lesser competition keyword is going to be a city level keyword. You might also think of it as like a suburb keyword or something like that, depending on what area you live in. And then I'm going to show you a more difficult keyword, which is a county level keyword. Now, depending on where you live, counties might be a lot easier to go after than the individual city, for instance. So let's say Atlanta is what we're talking about. Atlanta is a city, but it's made up of many, many small counties. And so actually the county level keywords are easier to go after in that case than say Atlanta, whatever. Now, the example that I'm going to show you is out in Orange County, California, which Orange County is a large metropolitan area just south of Los Angeles, and has about 3 million people, and typically gets searched for more. So if your local client is an air conditioning service, they might search for Orange County air conditioning repair versus an individual suburb like Anaheim is a suburb or a city inside of Orange County versus Anaheim air conditioning repair. So Orange County is kind of the big kahuna, so to speak, the big keyword to go after. But in your area, the county level may be much less competitive, and the city itself, let's say it's Chicago, Atlanta, a large metropolitan area, is going to be the hard one to go after, the one that you really want to get your client ranked for. But what I want to do is show you an easy example and a harder example. We'll use these as case studies throughout the rest of the course. And everything that we do, all the tactics that I'm going to teach you in terms of how to get ranked, will center around these keywords. So really quickly, I'm just going to show you. I chose the term Irvine divorce attorney really for a reason. I've got a client who's a divorce attorney out in Irvine, California. Irvine is a very large city inside of Orange County, has about 350,000 people. So you can see when I type that in, the first results are Yelp, lawyers.findlaw.com, which is a huge service, and then Avvo, huge service. And this is pretty typical for lawyer results. You'll see that a lot. And then Maps. So my client is sitting here on Maps inside the 7-pack and starting to move up. So I don't know if you've worked with Maps, but Maps can be quite a challenge. There's a lot of optimization, a lot of tricks that go into getting somebody ranked highly on Maps. And not even highly, just getting them in the 7-pack to begin with, and then it's really kind of a battle to get up into here, into the top 3 positions. But right now, they're in Maps, which is really important. And so we're working with them to get more and more reviews so they can start to stand out. And that becomes the name of the game. Not so much are you in numbers 1 through 3, it's how many reviews do you have. So this guy right here, this firm has a ton of reviews and stands out like a sore thumb. So the goal is to get my client lots and lots of reviews. They are also organically ranked on page 3 and moving up very quickly to page 1. Sorry, Google's going to make me solve some CAPTCHAs here. Which is always fun. You can see they're in, I think, spot 23 right here. So they're moving up to page 1. So why am I telling you this? Well, the goal is to have your client ranked for maps organically and a video. If you can do that locally, your clients are gonna, pardon my French, shit their pants, so to speak. They literally are. And the reason is not just the exposure, because you can go back to them and say, hey, look, there's 10 organic positions and then 7 maps positions. So we've got 17 total positions, and you have 3 of them. They love that for just ego purposes. They really like that. But more importantly, some of them don't care about that at all. They just want the leads. And who do you think is going to get the leads? The person that has one organic result that's down here in position 9, or the company that has an organic result, a maps result, and a video that's all ranked on page 1 for lots and lots of keyword terms. So that's the goal. That's why I'm showing you this. What we're going to do is, as a case study, rank Irvine divorce attorney. Now, within the confines of time, the time of this video or this course, it may or may not land on page 1. Will it eventually land on page 1? I'm very confident it will. So I'm going to show you the steps that we take to get it to page 1. So really, from a keyword research standpoint, you can do a couple things. We would go into Google keyword tool and we'd search Irvine divorce attorney, which I've already done. It says that it has about 50 average monthly searches, high competition level. Remember, the competition level is AdWords competition. We're not talking about SEO competition. So, it's hard to say if this is accurate or not. What I care about is not the advertiser competition, and not even that much about the average monthly searches. I mean, it can be beneficial to have lots and lots of small videos for your client, and the search volume may be 30 or 10 or 20, but collectively it adds up. Searches for local terms are not always very high, but collectively, if you've got your client ranked for a lot of keywords and a lot of videos, it adds up tremendously. So what I like to do is take things one step further and dive into a tool called Longtail Platinum, which I highly recommend you pick up. And I'll put a link below the video to this software tool. But basically what it does is, if I go over to campaign settings and I add my keyword and I click on generate keywords, all it does is it goes out and it pulls in all of the Google Keyword Planner keywords, all 800 or so of them. But it takes it a step further, and this is why it's an important tool to have. We don't care about the advertiser competition because we're not trying to advertise. We are trying to rank a video on page 1. And what I want you to think of is, when you think of local videos, or videos in general, think of them as mini websites. What would you do to a website? Well, you have to have a title tag. You have to have a description. You have to have content. And that's what we're going to be doing inside of the confines of YouTube. So these videos become mini websites that we can go rank. And what Longtail Platinum does is it allows us to analyze our competition on page 1. That's what we care about. We don't care about the other pages. We care about how hard is it to get ranked on page 1. So what it does is it allows you right from this little dashboard to hit calculate, and it comes up with a keyword competitiveness score. In this case, 24. And really, anything under about 30 is pretty darn easy to get ranked. Anything, starting to get over 35, I would probably steer clear from. You could try it. Think of it this way. Local, in general, you'll see scores that can be higher. Typically, I see anywhere from 17 to 25. But, like if I'm looking at Los Angeles divorce attorney, this one's probably pretty high. Is my guess. It might be harder to go after, but in general, you have to gauge things against other things. That's why I started showing you in the other, in video 1 in the intro, that I've gone out and ranked very, very competitive affiliate terms that probably have scores of 55 or something like that. So to get something ranked that's in the 20s is not that hard. Now, how do they calculate the score? This is very important. I want to show you this because it goes into kind of the mindset. So Irvine Divorce Attorney, if I click on that inside of that dashboard, it's going to show me the top results on page 1. And what it does is it's going to show me a bunch of stuff. What went into this keyword competitiveness score of 24? So I like to look at Moz page authority, Moz domain authority, and then page links and juice links. So, if you're not familiar with Moz page authority, domain authority, it's just an external resource to look at to determine, competitiveness and the quality of links that are pointing to a site. Essentially, the higher the domain authority, the higher the page authority. Typically that means there's better links going to that site, which means it might be harder to beat. So obviously Yelp, has a very high domain authority, 94. You've got lawyers.findlaw, 92, Avo, 86. These are very high domain authority sites. You may or may not beat them out. Justia, 84. Now here's the key that I like to look at is the page authority. And are there opportunities for me to sneak in where I can look at a video? If I have a video, can I somehow beat out any of these things here? Well, this has a page authority of 1. This has a page authority of 1. And all that means is that these internal pages inside of Yelp and FindLaw don't have a high page authority, probably because they don't have many links going to them, probably because they don't need many links going to them. These are huge monster authority sites. But then you come down here a little bit and you've got page authority of 39, 29, that sort of thing. So these are not too shabby. That's still pretty high page authority. What I really like to look at are page links and juice page links. So these are just purely total numbers of links going to an individual page. And you can see here, this only has 9 links. This has 15 links. This one has 2 links. Now it is Justia after all, which is a very large site. But really what you're looking at is, do you have an opportunity to sneak in? Hopefully you can beat out some of these guys, but even if you can't, even if you can get something onto page 1, could you do it? This one might be tough to beat because look, they've got they've got 145 page links, and juice page links are basically links that have the anchor in the title, or at least a portion of the title tag in their anchor text. So Irvine Divorce Attorney, maybe somebody has Best Irvine Divorce Attorney, and they have 69 instances of that, which can be good or bad. You can further analyze it if you want to. You could go over and look at something like Majestic. These guys may be just over optimized to like crazy, having that many juice page links. That means that they've got Irvine Divorce Attorney somehow mentioned many times. So they may be ripe for a penguin attack or a penguin smackdown, where Google says you're over optimized, and boom, they're off of page 1. So what we've got here is we've got a page links of 15 and 9, juice page links of 8 right here, of 12 right here. So I like my chances actually of going after this. So what the keyword competitiveness score does is it gives you a gauge. That's it. So I like to actually always, when I'm in the keyword research portion, click on this. Start with this, and if it's in the 30s or 40s, just forget about it. If it's in the 20s, click on it and kind of dive in a little bit and see, are there opportunities where I can sneak in? And even if I can't sneak in, well, maybe I'll still try. Even if from a 30,000 foot view it doesn't look like I can sneak in, I might still go out and really optimize my video and try. And you'll notice that there's a discrepancy right here. This shows that there's actually 170 local searches, whereas Google was saying 50, and this is showing an average cost per click of $38. So that's a huge win for your client. If you can get them ranked on page 1 for something that costs everybody else $38 to get a click on, that's what they're spending for AdWords, on average $38 to be on the first page. that's a big win for your client. They're going to love you for it. So not to say that pay-per-click is not still important or doesn't have its place, but you want multiple avenues into your client's site, and local video provides a way for that to happen. So I really like Longtail Pro because it allows me to analyze my competition, analyze what's it going to take. And sometimes, even though there might be a lot of links to the page and a lot of juice links to the page, I don't need that many links. Because maybe I've optimized my site better. So think of this as on-page SEO versus off-page SEO, just like a website. I'm going to show you all these tactics to get your on-page SEO inside of the video description, the title tags, all that stuff, in a position so that it's done so well that it's much better optimized from an on-page perspective than any of these guys. So that maybe I don't need as many links. Maybe I need no links. Or maybe I just need a few of them. And I'm going to show you exactly where to get links, the type of links you need, all that stuff as we go forward. But for now, I just wanted to show you, kind of a case study that we're going to be looking at Irvine divorce attorney. And then the second keyword term that I want to look at is Orange County divorce attorney. Like I said, Orange County would be a lot more competitive to rank. The payoff really isn't that great. So if I type in Orange County divorce attorney. Now again, keep in mind Google does not really tell you the truth on number of searches. There's probably a lot more searches than 20 going on to Orange County divorce attorney. But if this were accurate, it's saying that there's the same number of searches to Irvine as there is to Orange County. I don't believe that. I think this is probably more like 200 to 300. Just having dealt with very large suburbs, it's not uncommon to have that many searches. Like in Austin, I work with a divorce attorney where Austin divorce attorney, that keyword term gets 500 to 700 searches a month. And Austin is a third of the size of Orange County. So I'm telling you that this is probably a lie. It's probably several hundred searches a month. The competition level is going to be, quite a bit more. Probably more along the lines of what we saw with Los Angeles divorce attorney in the 27 range. But that's where we're headed. I want to show you case studies of how to build these videos out in a way that they're optimized correctly. We're not going to get into great detail of actually how to put together the video. I'm going to leave that up to you. There's lots of ways to put together videos, slideshows. You can go out and film your client. You can do anything you want to get a video up online. So we're really not going to go into detail about how to create the video. What I am going to do is teach you how to optimize the video from start to finish. And we're going to use these two keywords as an example so that I can show you a low competition term and a high competition term. So that's it for video 2. I will see you over in video 3 where we start that optimization process. And I'm going to show you a really cool tool that I use that helps me gauge the YouTube competition, not the Google competition, but the YouTube competition, which is kind of step 1 for figuring out, can I even rank highly on YouTube, which then allows me to have a better shot at getting highly ranked on Google. So I'll see you over in video 3.